Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by telling you this. Becoming a millionaire isn't just about earning more, it's about thinking differently. A millionaire mindset is a mindset of abundance, discipline, and relentless growth. It's not luck, it's not privilege, it's mental transformation. The greatest millionaires in history didn't start rich. They started with a mindset, a belief that they could create value, solve problems, and never give up. Your environment might try to limit you, but your mind has the power to rebuild your world. If you think like a millionaire, you begin to behave like one. You start making long-term decisions, you invest rather than spend, you seek growth instead of comfort, and most importantly, you stop blaming and start building. You don't wait for the perfect opportunity. You create it. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes fuel. Every day becomes a chance to grow 1% better, stronger, and smarter. So if you want to develop a millionaire mindset, start from the inside. Rewire your thoughts, reshape your habits, and reimagine your future. Because if your mind is ready, your money will follow. At the core of every millionaire mindset lies a powerful mental shift, the ability to move away from scarcity thinking and step into a world of abundance. Scarcity thinking is a mindset rooted in fear. It's the belief that there's not enough to go around, not enough money, not enough opportunities, not enough success. It causes people to compete destructively, hoard resources, settle for less, and stay small in their ambitions. They say things like, "I can't afford that. This is all I've got," or "what if I lose it all?" And unknowingly they trap themselves in a cycle of limitation. But those with a millionaire mindset think differently. They believe wealth isn't a fixed pie, it's expandable. Instead of worrying about what they don't have, they focus on what they can create. They believe in growth, creation, and innovation. They don't see a successful person and feel jealousy, they feel inspired. Because in their minds, someone else's success doesn't take away from their own, it proves what's possible. They think if they can do it, so can I. This shift to abundance isn't just motivational talk, it influences how you act daily. When you believe there are unlimited opportunities, you start looking for them. You take more risks. You speak with more confidence. You build bigger ideas. You no longer say, "I can't afford it." You say, "How can I afford it?" That single shift from fear to curiosity activates creativity, problem solving, and momentum. Scarcity keeps you reactive. Abundance makes you proactive. Scarcity makes you compete. Abundance makes you collaborate. Scarcity sees failure as the end. Abundance sees it as a beginning. This isn't just mindset theory, it's practical. A person stuck in scarcity won't invest in themselves, won't take calculated risks, and won't believe in their future. But someone who operates from abundance sees every dollar spent on learning or growth as a seed, one that multiplies over time. And here's the truth, the world tends to mirror your mindset. When you act with fear, you attract fear-based results. But when you believe in endless possibilities, you start to notice opportunities others miss. You open doors others are too afraid to knock on. You build instead of wish. You expand instead of shrink. And you grow not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. One of the most defining traits of those with a millionaire mindset is their complete and unwavering commitment to personal responsibility. They understand deep in their core that no one is coming to save them. They do not wait for the government, their boss, their family, or luck to change their life. They accept, often painfully at first, that their current situation, whether good or bad, is a direct reflection of the choices they have made, the habits they've developed, and the standards they've tolerated. This level of ownership may seem harsh to some, especially in a world that encourages blame and victimhood, but it is the first real step toward freedom. Because as long as you blame the system, your past, your parents, your country, or even your circumstances, you are giving away your power. You are surrendering control of your destiny to forces outside of yourself, and when you do that, you become stuck emotionally, financially, mentally. Millionaire thinkers flip that script entirely. They say, if it's to be, it's up to me. They own their results, even the failures. If their business doesn't work, they don't complain, they analyze, adjust, and improve. If they lose money, they don't curse the market, they study where they went wrong. If their habits are unproductive, they don't make excuses, they change their routine. This internal shift from blame to ownership creates resilience, growth, and forward momentum, and it affects every area of life. In relationships, it means taking responsibility for how you communicate. In health, it means taking charge of your diet, sleep, and movement. In money, it means being honest about your spending, saving, investing, and earning. It's not about being perfect, it's about being accountable. You stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "How can I?" You stop pointing fingers and start holding the mirror. This type of responsibility is empowering. It may feel like pressure at first, but in reality it's liberating. Because once you accept that your life is your responsibility, you are no longer waiting for permission to act. You start creating. You start learning. You start moving. You develop a mindset where every challenge becomes a test of your growth, not a signal of your helplessness. When you take full responsibility, you also stop expecting the world to be fair. You realize that you don't get what you deserve, you get what you work for. You stop hoping someone will give you a raise and start building something of your own. You stop waiting for motivation and start creating discipline. You stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" You become solution-oriented. You become unstoppable. One of the most underestimated yet powerful aspects of the millionaire mind, that is the ability to think in terms of years, not days. In a world obsessed with quick fixes, instant gratification, and overnight success stories, millionaires, real ones, operate from a place of long-term vision. They understand that sustainable success is not built overnight. It is crafted deliberately, brick by brick, over time, with patience, strategy, and persistence. People who lack this long-term vision often make emotional and impulsive decisions. They chase trends, jump from one opportunity to another, and give up the moment results don't show instantly. They want six-pack abs in 6 days, a viral video on their first upload, or $1 million business in a month, and when it doesn't happen, they call it a failure. But people with a millionaire mindset are strategic thinkers. They play the long game. They are not looking for a quick hit. They are building something that lasts. When you have long-term vision, you start making decisions from a different mental space. You begin to invest instead of just spend your money, your energy, your time. You understand that reading one book today might not change your life, but reading one book a week for 5 years will make you unstoppable. You understand that eating clean today won't transform your body, but doing it consistently for a year will. You realize that starting a business won't give you instant results, but nurturing it over time can create generational wealth. This vision affects how you handle failure too. Most people see failure as a dead end, but those with long-term thinking see it as a detour, not a defeat. They expect setbacks, they prepare for them, they even welcome them because they know these are lessons that sharpen their tools and build their resilience. They don't judge their progress by today's results, they measure it by where they're headed 5 or 10 years down the line. Long-term thinkers are also able to delay gratification, which is one of the most powerful traits tied to wealth creation. While others are busy buying liabilities to look rich, new cars, flashy clothes, expensive vacations, the millionaire-minded individual is buying assets. They're investing in stocks, businesses, real estate, or skills that will pay them later. They may not look rich right now, but that's because they're too busy becoming rich in the future. Having long-term vision also keeps you focused. When you know your 5-year or 10-year goal, you're less likely to get distracted by shiny objects or short-term noise. You don't need to impress people today. You're working quietly, planting seeds, building systems, developing mastery because you know the harvest comes with time, not urgency. At the heart of every fortune ever made lies a simple truth. Wealth follows value, and value comes from solving problems. The millionaire mindset is deeply rooted in this understanding. It doesn't chase money for the sake of money, it chases impact, solutions, and innovation. People who develop this mindset don't run from problems. They run toward them, knowing that every challenge carries a hidden opportunity. Average minds complain about problems. Broke minds avoid them. But millionaire minds study them, deconstruct them, and ask a powerful question. How can I solve this, and how can I solve it better than anyone else? Because they know that the bigger the problem they can solve, the more people they can help, and the more wealth will naturally flow in return. This mindset creates a dramatic shift in how you view your surroundings. Instead of being overwhelmed by the chaos, you start to see gaps, needs, and inefficiencies in businesses, in communities, in industries. Where others see inconvenience, you see invention. Where others see complaints, you hear opportunities. You become curious. You begin to think in terms of solutions not just for yourself, but for others too. And when you solve for others, you build trust, impact, and eventually income. And solving problems doesn't always mean inventing a billion-dollar product. Sometimes it means providing a service that others overlook. It could be simplifying a process, making something faster, more affordable, more enjoyable, or more accessible. Even the smallest improvement, if delivered consistently, can lead to massive rewards. Think about companies like Uber or Airbnb. They didn't create new industries. They just solved old problems with new perspectives. Problem solvers also don't fear failure the way others do. They understand that most solutions are born through trial and error. They test, tweak, and try again. They don't get discouraged when their first idea flops. They expect it. They see it as data, as feedback, as fuel. They understand that every failure brings them one step closer to the right answer. Their ego doesn't get in the way. Their mission is too important, and something else happens when you become a problem solver. People start to look to you as a leader. Whether it's in your job, your business, your community, or even your home, people value those who bring clarity where others bring confusion. They trust those who bring answers where others bring excuses. This kind of trust builds relationships, builds reputation, and ultimately builds wealth. Your environment is silently shaping your destiny every single day. The people you allow into your world are either fueling your vision or draining your potential. One of the most crucial, yet often overlooked, pillars of the millionaire mindset is being intentional about your circle. Millionaires are deeply aware that proximity is power. Who you spend time with is who you become. Think of your mind like a sponge. It absorbs the language, energy, habits, and expectations of those around it. If you're constantly surrounded by negative people, those who complain, settle for mediocrity, gossip, make excuses, and fear growth, their mindset begins to seep into yours, whether you realize it or not. Their doubts become your doubts. Their limitations become your limitations. Their small goals shrink your ambitions. But when you're surrounded by growth-oriented people, individuals who dream big, take action, celebrate progress, and think in terms of possibilities, everything changes. Your standards rise, your conversations evolve, your energy elevates. You're no longer the smartest or most driven person in the room, and that's exactly where growth begins. You're pushed, you're inspired. You're challenged, and most importantly, you're reminded of what's possible. Growth-oriented people talk about ideas, not people. They talk about strategies, not excuses. They share books, not gossip. They compete with themselves, not with others. Their presence alone can shift the way you think, talk, and act. They'll hold you accountable. They'll support your journey, not mock it. They won't laugh at your goals. They'll help you refine and reach them. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone who doesn't think like you. It means being strategic with your time and energy. You can love people from a distance. You can choose to limit access to your most valuable asset, your mind. You begin to ask, is this person helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Does this conversation move me forward or hold me back? Is this relationship aligned with the future I'm building, or does it only serve my comfort zone? And it goes beyond people you know in person. Your circle includes the content you consume, the podcasts you listen to, the videos you watch, the books you read, the voices you allow into your mind. Millionaire-minded people curate their mental environment like a sacred space. They fill it with knowledge, inspiration, challenge, and discipline. As you elevate your inner circle, you also elevate your identity. You begin to think, move, and make decisions like someone who is going somewhere great. Because success is rarely a solo journey, it's a collective vibration. When you walk with giants, you stop crawling. When you think with leaders, you stop following. And when you surround yourself with growth, your life begins to mirror it. In the world of the millionaire mindset, learning is not a phase, it's a permanent lifestyle. It doesn't stop after school, it doesn't pause after getting a job, it doesn't slow down after one success. In fact, the deeper you go into the mindset of wealth, the more you realize how little you actually know, and that awareness becomes a daily motivation to keep growing. Millionaires treat their mind like their most valuable asset because it is. They don't just invest in stocks or real estate, they invest heavily in their own knowledge, skills, and mental sharpness. They read books obsessively. They attend seminars, watch courses, join masterminds, study trends, listen to mentors, and surround themselves with people who challenge their thinking. They're constantly feeding their curiosity, stretching their understanding, and upgrading their mental software. The truth is, the world is changing too fast for you to stay the same. Technology evolves, industries shift, markets transform, and the only people who thrive are those who are willing to adapt. That adaptation comes from learning. A millionaire mind doesn't say, "I already know that." It asks, "How can I apply this differently?" It doesn't say, "I'm good enough already." It says, "Where can I level up today?" This kind of learning isn't limited to business or finance either. Millionaire-minded people seek to grow in every area: leadership, emotional intelligence, communication, decision making, personal discipline, relationships, because they know that who they become will determine what they're able to build. You can't build $1 million business with $100 mindset. You can't lead others if you don't understand yourself. You can't make powerful decisions if you don't sharpen your judgment. They also learn from failure, which most people avoid. A millionaire mindset sees failure as a powerful teacher, not a shameful result. Every loss contains a lesson. Every mistake reveals something that needs improvement. They document their losses, reflect deeply, and extract value from every situation. They are humble enough to admit what they don't know and bold enough to pursue what they must learn next. Lifelong learning also keeps the mind young, resilient, and hungry. It protects against stagnation. It fuels creativity. It opens up new paths that others can't even see. It creates options. It separates the average from the exceptional, not because of natural talent, but because of intentional growth. No matter how powerful your dreams, how smart your strategies, or how bold your goals, none of it matters without discipline. A millionaire mindset is not built on motivation alone. It is anchored in routine, sustained by consistency, and driven by self-control. While the world is busy chasing instant motivation, millionaire-minded individuals rely on systems, not feelings. Discipline is what makes you show up when you don't feel like it. It's what gets you out of bed before the sun rises. It's what makes you say no to distractions, temptations, and shortcuts that feel good now but cost you later. And it's what allows you to trade comfort for commitment over and over again, without applause, without validation, and often without visible results for a long time. People with a millionaire mindset don't wait to feel ready. They create structure, they build rituals. They design habits that automate success. Whether it's daily journaling, reading, working out, budgeting, time blocking, or business development, they treat their habits like contracts with their future self. They know that success is not about doing something once, it's about doing the right things repeatedly until they become part of who you are. This is where most people fail. They rely on willpower, which fades. They chase passion, which fluctuates, but discipline builds momentum, and momentum builds identity, Every small action done consistently strengthens your self-image. You go from someone who tries to someone who does. From someone who plans to someone who produces. From someone who dreams to someone who executes. And it's not about being perfect. Discipline allows room for failure, but never for quitting. You may stumble, but the habits you've built keep you from falling apart. You might miss a day, but you don't miss two. You course, correct quickly, you stay grounded, because you've trained your body, your mind, and your emotions to follow through regardless of the noise around you. Millionaire-minded people also understand that discipline creates freedom. While the undisciplined person lives in chaos, constantly reacting, running late, stressed, and overwhelmed, the disciplined person moves with clarity. They have control over their time, their money, their energy. They're not ruled by impulses, they're guided by purpose. They know exactly what they need to do, and they do it, even when no one is watching.